Caleb from Brownells here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Law Tactical Gen S Sidefolder. So the new Gen S, let me get some stuff out the way here. If you're not, or actually let me back up. If you're not familiar with the Law Tactical folding adapter, it's an adapter that goes on the back of your AR-15, push a button, and you fold the stock for more compact storage, right? That's the whole main purpose of it. This is the Generation 3 that's currently on this firearm. And once I get it off, I'll kind of show you some comparisons here. But before I do that, let me tell you about the Gen S. The Gen S is just a newer version of it. It's not in addition to, the Gen S is replacing the Gen 3M. And this is it right here. So the main differences is that the body of it is actually a little bit smaller. They've cut down some areas of it just to make it an overall lower profile. Then, let me move it back here just so we have them both together. This one is a lower profile than this one. So they removed some material and they changed the material. So this one's actually a stainless steel, whereas the other one is a standard, I think it's a 4140, and then the new one is a stainless. So it's a little bit stronger, a little bit lighter, 12.5% lighter to be exact. And overall, just a newer, upgraded design. They also changed the flange and things like that too to be a little bit stronger and better. And if you don't know what that means, I'll show you that whenever we get into the installation. But with that being said, that's the differences. Feel free to skip around in this video because I'm actually going to be doing a full install. I'm going to remove the old Gen 3M and put on the Gen S. So feel free to fast forward if you don't care about any of the other technical stuff. Alright, so what we'll actually do is, I'll move this stuff out the way. I'll go ahead and get this gun ready to be swapped over. The tool we're actually going to be using also is the Law LAT, or Lower Alignment tool. So we're going to be using that, and I'll show you how to use that as well. If you just want to know how to use that without all the other stuff, we got a video specifically on that. I'm going to move my coffee so I don't spill it and just completely ruin the rest of my day. Alright, now let's, of course, always, firearm unloaded, sure enough. Alright, then what we need to do is just fold the stock, remove the bolt plug here, make sure the bolt is seated forward, and then we can take down our AR-15 as we normally would. Takedown pin, pivot pin, and we'll set our upper aside. Also, if you have questions about this particular gun, this is the one we built during the How to Build an Accurate AR series. So if you want to know more, go check that out. And that gun is the most accurate AR-15 I've ever shot in my life. But we're not here for that. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and unhook this, and we will remove our buffer and spring. We are using a BCM Mark II buffer in this thing, so it's a little bit longer. It's what would be considered your A5 length. So we'll just take that out. And set that over there. We will need that, of course, in the future. And what we'll actually do, I'll just go ahead and pull the stock off to get that out the way. This is the B5 precision stock. We'll set that over there. Alright, so now we're getting down to the core of it here. So what I'm going to do, alright, we'll remove our Kung Fu grip. Let me grab a driver here. And I'm going to use a Brownells driver with the Fix-It Sticks Field Armor kit here. And what we're doing right now is just essentially removing the buffer tube and everything like that. If you're not using the Law Lower Alignment tool, if you're just using like a standard lower vise block, obviously you don't need to remove the grip or anything like that. But we are, because I want this thing to be as lined up precise as possible. Alright, so now we will take our lower alignment tool, and if you look at it here, it is going to kind of go on like so. Right, we're going to line everything up so that it fits on there like that. So what we'll do is just snug up this front screw against our grip mount, and then with that you do have to use the Geissele reaction block. They're made to go hand in hand here. And we will seat everything. And it is a tight fit. It's supposed to be a tight fit because it is keeping everything perfectly aligned. Just give it a bump there. There we go. Nice. Tighten that down. Perfect. And this will give you a ton of leverage for getting that castle nut off. And this castle nut is staked, so I want all the help I can get. So we'll come over to the vise here. Grab the reaction block. Just make sure these are snug on top here. Then you will need a open-ended wrench for an AR-15, such as the Midwest Industries Armor wrench, which is my favorite here. And we'll actually break the stake on that castle nut. And that puts all the force we were putting on that castle nut, rather than being in the mag well. It's actually back here, held in two places, so that you don't, nothing that shouldn't be flexing is flexing, essentially. And we'll just pull things off here. Loosen that, and what I'll do is I'll open it, catch your detent, or your buffer retainer detent here, and just unscrew your receiver extension. Take those parts out, lay them on the table. Alright, now we can continue the uninstallation of the law folder. Okay. And for this, I'm actually going to use a vise block. And I'm going to use the one that's not in that drawer, because it's not in that drawer. It's actually under the table right here. And as I mentioned before, you could just use this for the whole process, but it will not be as precise as what we're doing now with the lower alignment tool. Okay, now we're just going to unscrew the old 3M, but what we're going to do first, what we have to do first, and I'll show you here, this screw on the side right here is putting tension on the flange in there. So you got to back off this screw before you unscrew this. If not, it'll be really hard to unscrew and you will mar the heck out of it. Alright, so I'm just going to take a Allen wrench here. Three 30-seconds, put that in, unscrew it. Alright, and now what we're going to do, so you can use the, let me get it out here, the flange tool that comes with the new one, or if you have the old one, even better. I'm going to actually use the armor tool from Law, because it's just a solid mounting surface, and I don't have to worry about damaging this tool. So, the armor tool is this one right here. It's just a solid piece of steel that locks into the flange and is easy to remove. Alright, so here's another interesting part that I'll show you is changed on the new one here once I get it completely apart. But as you see, we have that locking mechanism in there. We're going to get that out of the way. And if you've done an install on one of these, we are literally just going in the reverse order. So we just remove this screw at the bottom here. Say, get on out of there, set that down. That piece comes out. And we're back in. Just take the tool. I'm going to turn this so you can see slightly better what's going on here. I'm just going to take it, make sure those teeth lock in. Then you can just use your standard attachment for your, the same one you use for your muzzle device on your AR. There we go. And we just unscrew that. And just be mindful of your rear takedown spring if you're doing this on an AR-15. Okay, so now that we have all this apart, we can do a one-for-one comparison with the differences there. Alright, so in my left hand, so on to your right, is the S, and my right hand, your left, is the 3M. So if you take a look here, you'll notice the differences in the profile. This one right here on my left hand is a little bit smaller profile. And especially if we come around to this side here, you can see this is a much thinner profile than what's on the original here. And also, moving to the opposite side of that back piece. So let me turn these so you can see here. So where this lock goes in, I'll just kind of replace it without the spring so you can see. There's a ton of material moved right around that latch right there. And the latch itself is actually a little bit beefier, but the area around it has been cut down. So this whole housing right here has been replaced with just this little door and screw. That's it. So that makes things a little bit more, or I say a little bit more, a lot more compact. I'll put that on there just so you can see the comparison on that. So shaved off a ton of material right there, but still keeping it just as strong. Alright, so let's go ahead and install the new one. And I'm going to put this spring back in here with the screw, because if not, it will be lost forever immediately after this video ends. Alright, perfect. And I'm just going to set the flange in there so I don't lose that. And that's good enough. We'll just leave it like that. Okay. Now, we got our new one here. I'm going to go ahead. Actually, so I haven't installed this yet. This is my first time. So this marks the point in the video where we start installation of the new one. So if you're jumping around to chapters and you want to do the install, you're in the right spot. So I'm just going to take this apart, get it ready for the install. I think that's the right size. Psych. Looks like it's going to be a 5/64. Perfect. And we'll just unscrew that door. It is under spring tension, so be aware. Set that screw down. Remove the door. Remove the spring. Then you can remove the lock assembly there. And that is very greasy, which is good. Alright, now, from this point forward, it installs pretty much just like the old one, so let's just go ahead and do it. So, again, mindful of our takedown pin spring. Keep an eye on that. And we will take our new flange, which is over here in the packaging. So we got our new flange and our bolt plug here, or bolt carrier, I should say. And let me actually grab this old flange here. And you can see the new flange, which is this one right here that I'm pointing at, my right, your left, is beefier than the old one. So but it's just as lightweight. These are aluminum. I can't even really tell the difference. But it's good that there's more contact area there. So more surface area contact is a stronger fit. All right. Not that I've ever heard any problems with these failing, but these, I'm sure with their government contracts, they go through some pretty heavy use. And another thing that's worth noting, which I'll mention again at the end of the video, is that these have the same NSN number. So if you're a government, you're ordering these for some government work, whatever that may be, you just use the same NSN number and you don't have to worry about trying to find a new one. And if you don't know what any of that means, then don't worry about it. If it was important to you, then you would probably know. So, or you can just Google it real quick. NSN number is just the number that is used to order stuff. So like when I was in the military, we were ordering plate carriers, optics, whatever. We all used NSN numbers to order that stuff. Alright, so we'll just install the new flange here. So you can use your wrench that came with it, this piece of sheet metal here, which fits in there. You turn it and it does what it needs to do. But I am just using the armor tool because I have it. If you're doing these in high volume, like you're working in an armory or something, definitely get this tool. I don't know what the NSN number for this is, but it definitely also has one. Alright, and we'll just tighten this thing down here. Nice and snug. This thing you don't really want to over tighten. Just snug it up a bit. There is a torque spec for it, and it is 5 to 7 foot-pounds. Alright, so if you want to throw a torque wrench on here, make sure you hit 5 to 7. You're good to go. I've done so many of these, I'm just going to feel it. Alright, there we go. Alright, now, just as with the old one, you have your flange tension screw. Alright, so that one should be a 3/32. And we are going to snug that up. And this is another one you don't want to over tighten. You just want it to make contact with the flange. And once you feel it making contact there, that's going to prevent it from coming loose. That's all you need to do with it. If you want, you can put a little bit of thread locker on there as well. But I'm not going to worry about that for now. And it does come with some essentially Vibratight, or vibration resistant thread locker, if you will. Don't put that on the flange, but you can put it on the lock screw. Okay, now you can also put it on this door screw here that we're about to reassemble. Alright, so now that we have the flange installed to the receiver, the actual mechanism here, you can take, let me turn this so you can see it a little better. Just take your locking piece and you're going to insert that with the thin pointy end first. And you'll see it really, it's like a puzzle, you know, it only goes in there one way though, like a toddler puzzle, so it's easy. And then the spring follows it. There's a little hole in there cut out for the spring, you can kind of see. So put it to its home. It wants to go home, put it there. Alright, now you have the door piece, which if you notice, the door itself has this little indexing point on it. Alright, so you just need to make sure that that little indexing point goes into the hole on the mechanism right here, on the actual folder. Alright, and then your screw hole will also line up, and it's that easy. That's why they put that there. Alright, so it should go just like this, and we're just going to set it on there and just kind of feel it out. That looks good. And again, like I mentioned, you can put a little bit of thread treatment on there. And yes, if you were wondering, this is trickier to do whenever I'm doing it so you can see it, and I can't really see what's going on. But there it is, it's on there. So we'll snug that up nice and tight. Alright, perfect. Now we install our receiver extension. And I think there should be room on this end plate here for me to restake this castle nut without too much fuss. So we'll keep that same one on there. Alright, so now this is whenever we want to switch to our lower alignment tool. We'll do it that way. It'll probably work either way, but the logo is I'm weird about that. I want the logo facing upward. Okay. Now, take the tube, thread it in by hand. Our buffer, retainer, and detent will go in that back hole right there. We'll push down on it and put our tube over the lip of it. That's a little bit too far. We'll back off one turn. Yeah, that should be fine. Alright, so now I'm going to loosely put this forward here so that the tube itself can still turn a little bit, which it can. Perfect. I'm going to close it. Now the lower, or the Geissele reaction block will mate up to the lower alignment tool and perfectly align our receiver extension, or buffer tube, to the lower receiver, which just puts it in perfect alignment. So now we're good. We'll tighten everything down here, and we will use this to torque and stake our castle nut. And we are almost done. So let's tighten our castle nut down. And as you can see, this is where I staked it previously. And with this, the threads on this are a little bit different as far as index point goes than the other ones. They are technically 1 3/16 by 16. It's the same thread pitch, it just indexes at a different point. So we're going to stake our new point right here. Alright, now I need a staking tool. I will use the Sons of Liberty Gunworks, and there is one in here somewhere. There's one. This one is this is the 40 degree, which will work just fine. So I'll take that and a hammer. Yeah, I'm going to use this smaller cross peen here. Alright. What I'm going to do is place my staking tool. I'm not going to put it right in the middle of the end plate. I'm going to slightly favor the backside, because the metal, once you start moving it, it's going to flow the only way it can flow, and that's the notch in the actual castle nut. And in case you were wondering, this is the Forward Controls Design castle nut, and it is a little bit deeper so that it holds those stakes better, which is why I really like using these castle nuts. Alright, and we'll give it some light taps. We're not going to start off just going to town on it. We're going to give it some light taps just to establish a divot so that our punch doesn't slip whenever we start hitting it hard. Alright, that's looking pretty good. And you'll see people like holding their punch at an angle like this. You don't need to do that. You're going to end up just skipping off of it. Just hold it straight in, because that metal's flowing the only direction it can flow. You don't need to put anything at an angle. And if you look, we got a nice little indentation there. So we'll go ahead and start moving some actual metal. And there you go. That's a good, nice, simple, well-done steak job. The only time it's okay to eat well-done steak is right here. You can do the other notches if you want. I think that's overkill. One's enough. But there we go. All right. So let's wrap this thing up. All right, I'm just gonna loosen our tool here. And all the screws on this thing are knurled, so you should be able to do everything by hand. Okay, now that that's fully installed, we can go ahead and reinstall our grip. All right, so we'll take our selector detent. The spring is still in the grip because I put grease on it, so I didn't lose it. The screw is also still down in there. We'll tighten that up. Excellent. Reinstall the plug. All right, grips on. Buffer and spring. And that has a dry film lubricant on it. Perfect. All right. Now, leaving this open, we'll just go ahead and throw our stock back on. Perfect. All right. And then, upper receiver to the lower receiver. The bolt plug, just push that into the back of the bolt, close it, and everything is on there, installed very nicely. Okay, that's all there is to it for swapping it out. I know that was a little bit longer just because I stopped to explain a lot of stuff. So if this was your first time doing it, I wanted this video to be able to help you out. As well as those of you who've done it before. So that's why this one's a little bit longer format. As I mentioned before, the law folder is 12.5% lighter. It's beefier, it's more rugged, it's made out of stainless, more corrosion resistant, stronger, and lighter. So also has the same NSN number. All right, so that's all there is to it. If you enjoy this kind of content, just some good, relaxing gun stuff, you know, no drama, just building cool guns, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. So if you need help with anything for any reason ever, feel free to give us a call on the tech line. We'll be happy to help you out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.